Bank robbers no longer carry sawn-off shotguns or break open safes. Today's bank robbers don't even leave home to do their dirty work, and it's you who is the target, not the bank.
This has become the most profitable crime on earth.
This is Daylight Robbery. I'm your host, Alex Brooks.
I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep for days. I cried out to God, that don't let this happen to us. I've never hurt anybody. I've never done anything wrong to anybody. I was only trying to help my family. Please don't let this happen.
Loveeta D'Souza is a Melbourne mum who thought she had landed an ideal job working from home. Her business had closed down and she needed some money without paying $300 a day in childcare. She thought she was working for shopping website Light in the Box, a Chinese e-commerce giant like Temu, Shein or Wish. It sells a multi-function assortment of weird things, from water-filled balls to photo blankets to fast fashion.
I was looking for jobs and then this came up on Facebook. I clicked on it, and then it first said Amazon, and then when it said Amazon, it went to a WhatsApp message, and that ad kind of converted into Foodland, which I sent you.
That already seems dodgy, right? Now, your inner Judge Judy is possibly eye-rolling at Loveeta's naivety, but she judges herself more harshly than you ever will.
This is me. I'm stupid. I didn't know that people misuse God's name and do wrong things as well.
Loveeta's Light in the Box job robbed her of $255,000. It also made her an unwitting money mule, transferring funds for organised crime. Not all mules are obvious criminals setting up accounts with stolen ID. Many are collateral damage who are conned and terrorised along the way. Bank accounts can be muled in many different ways. People can set up the account for criminal gain, while others have their account compromised. Maybe someone looked over their shoulder at an ATM. Sometimes foreign students or backpackers sell their near-empty bank accounts before they leave Australia. But mules like Loveeta, who are scammed while also being unknowingly recruited, experience a double whammy: extreme financial loss and guilt at greasing the wheels of criminal money laundering. And there will be more Loveetas as crime gangs get better at something called social engineering. The more kind-hearted and trusting you are, the more likely you will have a bullseye on you. As crime gangs get richer through digital bank robbery, their tricks, cons, games and frauds become more polished. And social engineering is a bigger threat vector than reusing your password or clicking on the wrong link, or even just being a little bit naive and gullible. It sounds like something out of a spy movie, but threat vectors are the pathway to unauthorised access. Most of us think of hackers as masterminds bypassing high-tech defences. But the truth is, manipulation and trust are the scammers' most effective tools for getting inside a bank account. Former ASIO and New South Wales Police investigator Dan Halpin explains.
The social engineering tends to go over a long period of time, so it's not something that just happens overnight.
The weakest link in any security chain is always human beings. We are social animals with a heart and a brain that's kind of kooky sometimes, but mostly hardwired to engage and trust other people. And this is why some of us judge scam victims for being, well, stupid. Scams are easy to spot when you're not the one being scammed. But if you're the person in the throes of being hoodwinked, you're caught in a sticky web of lies and misplaced trust. Conning people is the everyday term for social engineering.
Social engineering is all across the board in terms of any type of scam. So if you're looking at your basic Nigerian romance scam, they use high-level social engineering. But that also is the case when it comes to high-level financial fraud, which is the larger syndicates, especially the ones operating throughout Eastern Europe. They are very cunning. There's no boundaries for what they will and won't say. And it's all about just convincing the individual that they can be trusted. And they play along with a certain type of story to be able to make sure that it hits the heartstrings of that specific person.
Loveeta's trainer, Neala, paid her $60 and another two amounts of $150 for her job. That's the first step that socially engineered Loveeta into trusting them.
What they did was they had created a WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Where there were a lot of people in it. And they kept sending messages, I've made this much today, I've made this much today, those. So that kind of gave me that security that, yes, there are a lot of other people in it as well. And they are making money, like it's genuine and legal.
And to be clear, there's no evidence that the real company, Light in the Box, knew about the platform Loveeta used to work from home with, or this WhatsApp group. Neala, Loveeta's scammer, made sure at least 25 other people were in this WhatsApp group. All had Australian phone numbers, which no longer actually work. They were likely spoofed phone numbers designed to look like they were in Australia. Really, Neala was working from overseas, possibly from a place like KK Park on the Myanmar and Thai border. KK Park was empty land before cybercrime enriched the crime gangs during COVID-19 lockdowns. Now, KK Park is an industrial-scale complex. There are reports of people being kidnapped to work at scam centres like KK Park, sometimes with a gun to their head to scam soft-touch people like Loveeta. Neala knew exactly how to manipulate Loveeta, who had previously fallen victim to the wonderful World scam. That scam stole $70 million from Australians, mostly of Southeast Asian origin, during 2021. Loveeta lost around $10,000 in that scam.
I told this lady that, I have dealt with something like this and it was a scam and blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, it's not. This is not a scam. This is a genuine company. Then she gave me, it's a Light in the Box and the ABN. So I checked everything and I saw that it was genuine company, right? Because Light in the Box, when you Google it, it's a big platform for people to start selling their products. And the ABN was genuine.
After those first payments, Neala tried to coach Loveeta into using a CoinSpot account to receive her money in crypto.
I told her, if this means that I have to put in money, I'm not going to be doing this. She's like, okay, if you don't want to do it, it's perfectly fine. It's your wish. But remember, you got your money. We are not cheating you. We're not, this is a legitimate company and blah, blah, blah. So I felt like, I'm not trusting them. You see, they play around with your mind. And I was stupid. I believed it. I went, I put the money, and then it started working again.
And Neala knew all about Australian bank fraud detection. She encouraged her WhatsApp group to use ANZ, NAB or Westpac to transfer money on the payment platform Osco. Neala advised her workers to avoid CommBank, who call bank customers if they do too many transfers in one day. She also coached them never to tell the bank they were making money online. Loveeta did suspect something was up, especially after she borrowed large sums from her family to access her next payments.
My heart was beating and beating and beating. I was like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Is this right? Is this right? But I should say it is my fault because I trusted and believed in them.
Neala told Loveeta not to worry about her money disappearing. Think of it as your money earning interest in an Australian bank, she lied. When you complete the tasks assigned by the bank, you can get all the money you deposited back. Now, Loveeta suspected her money was gone, so she asked to speak directly to Neala over the phone. But Neala told her she was deaf and they couldn't have a conversation. The con is always so obvious in hindsight. Bronte Capital founder John Hempton is a short seller who says fraud is rife across international and Australian financial markets.
My name is John Hempton. I run a little financial firm which has the big, hairy, audacious goal of finding every bad person in financial markets in the world, tracking them with computers and betting against them. And the logic is that they're trying to rip you off, and I want to come along for a little bit of the ride.
He's an expert in spotting fraud. You can watch him on Netflix's Dirty Money and find his Substack to understand more.
In the old days, I had to con you to your face. I had to look at you and lie. And that takes a certain psychopathic style. And now I can do it over the internet. I might be able to do it with AI. I do it with technology. I don't actually have to touch you. I don't feel your pain. I just feel my joy when I have your money.
Most of us deceive ourselves into thinking we're smart enough not to be scammed. Even John's been scammed buying overpriced baseball tickets from a fake website.
And it was my dopiness, right? But everybody's going to be dopey occasionally. We live in a high-trust society.
In effect, we scam ourselves into thinking we can't be scammed.
High-trust societies are actually a necessary part of rich and modern society. But high-trust societies get abused. And we have regulators for a purpose. But the problem with this is that the technology is running faster than the regulator's skill set as well.
Australia's corporate regulator, ASIC, is playing a game of whack-a-mole, trying to take down fake websites and block calls from scammers. Investigator Ken Gamble says the ACCC's $58 million investment in the National Anti-Scam Centre is needed, but won't combat digital bank robbery.
They pumped a lot of money into that to try to use technology, which is going to be successful for some things, but not these real big frauds like the term deposits and the border room, the love scams, the pig butchery, all the scams that are making hundreds of millions. They're not going to really have much of an impact on that side of it because blocking calls and blocking stuff is not going to work. The scammers just find their way around it, and 5 minutes later, they're using another method to contact victims.
Now, the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, or AFCA, is not a regulator, but it plays a key role in resolving disputes over reimbursement for digital bank robbery. AFCA doesn't seem to consider any of the criminal elements of digital bank robbery, such as mule accounts or money laundering. AFCA conciliated a token $6,000 reimbursement for Loveeta's $255,000 loss.
So they did pay me $6,000 because I couldn't fight it any longer. I said, we didn't have any money on us at that point in time. And that's why I said, I can't fight this any longer. I need the money somehow. So that's why I accepted it.
It literally didn't matter to AFCA that the Mule accounts used to steal Loveeta's money were set up with fake addresses. Bendigo Bank's UpBank lets people set up a bank account online without the same onerous identity checks as an in-branch account setup.
They don't even have a legitimate address. They're saying they're in Collins Street on a so-and-so building that's actually 50 floors, and they're given an address of the 60th floor, which doesn't even exist.
So who is the naive and gullible party here? Is it Loveeta? Or is it AFCA for overlooking the ease with which criminals set up fake Mule accounts to steal and launder $255,000? Is it Bendigo Bank, who let Chinese organised crime set up bank accounts on their platforms to steal from Australians? Perhaps it's even Facebook for allowing the criminals to get Loveeta on the hook through an ad that probably cost them less than $20 to net a $255,000 payday. It might even be the so-called influencers across the web doing videos and posts saying how legitimate Light in the Box is. It's never just one stupid person to blame for a scam. It's a collective chain of lies and deceit. It's systemic harm designed to dupe people. As Dan Halpin says,
I know that the federal government is trying to change that, and I will say that I'm seeing a lot more action, positive action, to protect victims in Australia than what we're seeing from the state police.
State police are as frustrated as people like Loveeta are with the rise in digital bank robberies. Police are swamped with fraud cases. My own son has been a victim of financial crime, and his case has been stuck in fraud triage for 5 months. The tragedy of this slow-motion police investigation is that once a person becomes a scam victim, they're highly likely to fall victim to the next step of social engineering, the recovery or refund scam.
I was trying to seek where I can get help, and then that's where I came across a refund company. You see, and then I lost $3,000 there as well.
Once a criminal has succeeded in one high-tech heist, they usually sell that victim's email, phone number, and probably their gullibility star rating to other criminals to target them for a recovery scam. social engineering is so much more powerful than hacking or robbing a real bank. And if you've already engineered one scam, what's another one? Scale it. Start a WhatsApp group. Do another ad. Get more people on the hook. Dan Halpin says his own mother, like Loveeta, has been scammed 3 times.
So once scammers have gained a qualified lead, which is an individual who has been scammed, then they'll use that contact list. They'll either sell it through the dark web or they will use it themselves in what we call recovery scams.
So victims desperate for reimbursement become vulnerable to being robbed again.
And that is where the system continues, where we have victims that are even up to 4 or 5 years later continually being contacted by different types of scammers. And we have victims come to us all the time saying, these guys are saying they can get my money back. We see it all the time. So we know that this is just another scam. We say, look, sorry, this is not the case. It's not as simple as just reversing a cryptocurrency transaction. Anything that involves cryptocurrency or fraud is a massive and complex situation.
Cybercrime and crypto are 2 words that go together like phishing and email.
If the whole world of crypto went to zero tomorrow, nothing would really change in the world, right? I'm used to financing real things. It finances buildings or steel mills or businesses or windmills or gas pipelines.
John Hempton says cryptocurrency has very little value in the world of international finance.
The real value of crypto is valued for its value. There's a secondary use for crypto, and it's a valuable one, which is paying criminal amounts of money overseas, because I can't put $1 million in a suitcase and cross a border, but I can quite easily wire $1 million of crypto. It takes 2.5 seconds. But I haven't found crypto used in anything that looks like legitimate transactions.
Loveeta's first scam, Wonderful World, left her wary of crypto forever. Her second scam, a fake work-from-home job with light in the box, stole $255,000 and exposed her to losing another $3,000 in a recovery scam. Now, Loveeta received a $6,000 reimbursement through AFCA, but Loveeta's bank paid AFCA $10,000 for that conciliation, more than Loveeta herself received. Facebook made money from the job ad that recruited Loveeta. Light in the Box, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange and has an Australian business number, has reported a 60% decline in revenues. And Neala has probably changed her name and WhatsApp number and is chatting to a new Loveeta to do her very next sting, which is probably raising her around $1 million a week.
I think cybercrime is actually possibly the biggest industry in the world, right? It's certainly up there as a sort of same size as the oil industry, right?
We all know that profit begets more profits. It's why Google and Facebook and Amazon took over the world. And cybercrime relies on exactly the same growth hacking tactics as these big tech companies. But criminals don't exist at one web address. Their tentacles are everywhere, in our banks, our stock exchanges, our social media.
And you can imagine a world in future where you have good AI versus bad AI, and vast amounts of resources go into blocking bad AIs, right? But if a real person gets caught in this, they're going to be fooled every time, right? I mean, we've now got computers that just pass a Turing test over the phone. You can't tell they're a computer. It's horrific. And there's no way that the regulators will keep up with all that. I mean, I'm very sophisticated and I can't keep up with all of that.
Living our lives online has bred a misplaced but necessary trust. It's difficult to use our phones or computers every day while believing that doing so creates a perilous risk. Yet that's exactly what the ACCC's National Anti-Scam Centre is asking of us, telling us stop, check and protect to avoid being scammed. As though all of it is about our own gullibility. Most of us have no choice but to believe we're smart enough not to be scammed. But every Australian taxpayer has collectively lost already $500 million to MyGov linking frauds, according to this ABC report. The Hey Mum text scam, which tricks mothers into transferring money into Mule bank accounts to help their kids, has conned at least 11,000 Australians. It's a scammer's job to end their con with a payday and keep improving their scam, making it more relevant to more people. Criminals will continue to socially engineer new, stressful, time-sensitive scams that coercively control victims into impulsively transferring money to them. No amount of stop, check, protect is going to stop this.
The whole of modern society depends on financial markets. This is what makes the fraud at the edge of financial markets so distressing, because we make everything work based on trust. And when the fraud goes unabated or it becomes too large or people stop trusting financial markets, not only do some people lose their livelihoods and it's miserable, and there are people that become reliant on their children in old age, and I've known suicides, but if it happens enough, eventually the lawlessness will break down the trust that is necessary for modern society.
Singapore is considering laws to grant police the power to restrict banking transactions for people who refuse to believe they're being scammed. In other words, they're going to have the police take over when people are being socially engineered. If these laws go ahead, police can stop people making transfers or ATM withdrawals. There's no fuzzy, blurry division of criminal and civil law in Singapore.
Western countries and countries like Australia and Europe are countries that have their laws and regulations in place. But it was an absolute disappointment. Honestly, the banking system here, is horrible. It was 10,000 times better in Dubai.
Loveeta was born in Dubai, a fact dripping with irony. She came to Australia for its better laws and regulation. Ken Gamble says Dubai is precisely where the term deposit gangs that likely stole from Harriet and Yakumi in episodes 2 and 3 are based. But it's not criminals from the United Arab Emirates in charge of these gangs. It's British organised crime.
Term deposits, a majority of them coming from a group in Dubai, a big British syndicate that is perpetrating these scams from Dubai and the UK. And there's some term deposit scams coming from Thailand as well. But a large amount of the term deposit scams over the last 5 years in Australia have come from one syndicate only, and that's in Dubai.
And next time on Daylight Robbery, we're going to dive into the story of the mules who met in Melbourne. One fled to Dubai and the other is still here, working as a licensed CCTV security technician, installing cameras. Like and subscribe to follow.